Good morning, Willie. Good morning, Grizzle. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Laura and Georgie are going to go feed the calves. Everyone's helping Mom feed calves, including little Georgie. Laura's washing the tank out, the pasteurizer for the calves. George is learning how. Hanging out with Dad's, just checking it out. This is for the calves every morning. The milk gets pasteurized. There's no bacteria in it.
Hey, Poe. This is Poe. Hi, sweetie. And she recently had a baby, maybe about a month ago. And her daughter, Bo, is in calf pens right over there. And so I wanted to talk about why we separate our calves from their moms, because we get a lot of questions about that. And I totally get it. As a mom, I would love if our cows could raise our babies, but logistically it doesn't make any sense. One, because dairy cows, unlike beef cows, are not bred for their maternal habits anymore. Like beef cows, if they're not a good mom, you cull that cow or you ship that cow. Where with dairy cows, that's not something we breed for. So in essence, it's almost been bred out of a lot of these cows. Probably 80% of the time, these moms wouldn't actually take care of their babies like they should. They have them in the maternity pens over there, and I have seen cows lay on their babies, kick on their babies, throw them into walls. I've had them kill their babies. I have come in and they have laid on top of their babies and suffocated them. It's really disappointing, and of course it's sad. And it's not, they're not doing it to be violent. They just don't have it bred into them anymore to have maternal instincts like that. And some of them totally do. Some of them would make great moms. But then I'll show my first point, which is housing. Okay, so my first point is housing in the barn. And I'm just gonna talk about our particular farms. Every farm's set up different, but for ours, we have lanes, which are scraped twice daily. But as you can see, cows, here's Pinky. Hi, Pinky. Cows poop a lot. They poop like 20 times a day. It's just how they digest their hay. They produce a lot of waste. I would not want any calves walking through this. They're way lower to the ground. Yeah. Oh, hi, this is PW. They're walking way lower to the ground. They're not as stable. They fall. They would fall and their navel would be dipped into manure. This is of course only winter. In the summer and spring and most of fall, our cows are outside. But in the wintertime, this just isn't suitable to have, you know, calves in. And our cows of course have clean bedding and clean stalls to lay in, but once they lay in there, there's not room for their calves. And then also in all this hubbub, there would be moms that would run into them because they're not their baby, and they would knock them over. We have bulls in with our cows, and I'm not saying every bull is going to attack a calf, but Jersey bulls can be pretty aggressive sometimes. So one is just the housing. Having them in a mix of all these cows is just not conducive for keeping them healthy or safe. Okay, and then to another point, and there's a lot of points, and I won't get to all of them, but I'm gonna go over a couple. The other point is it's not healthy for our cows. We're organic, which means we can't use antibiotics. So we have a lot more cows, which we call, they have 3 quarters. If one of their quarters gets an infection, mastitis, conventional dairy farms, they can treat them with antibiotics and clear them up, and they'll usually go back to 4 quarters. Ours, we can use natural ways to clear them up, but they don't clear up as often without these antibiotics. So some of our cows are what we call 3 quarters. So they're, here's a nice little udder. So that means we only milk out of 3 of their teats. and one of their teeth we just let dry up. It doesn't hurt them or anything. It just stops producing milk and it dries up. But it does produce a little bit of milk for a while. And so if there was just calves roaming around in here, they don't just nurse off their mom. They will nurse off anything. Even if you don't have an udder, they try to nurse off you. So they'll be nursing off all these moms. And they don't know which quarters have mastitis or have an infection. So they would drink off them, which A, could make them sick. And also they get the bacteria in their mouth, and then they're moving on to all these other cows and nursing off them and spreading that to all the other cows. So it's not good for the calves because they could, you know, get scours, which is just a broad term for anything that causes diarrhea. And they also could spread infections amongst the cows. Hey, Spruce. Which isn't good for the business, and it's not good for the cows either. So that's another point of why we don't have our calves in with the moms in this large group of cows. All right, and then moving on to the third point, which is just about our calves, is they just start out in these individual pens, and then they move on to these big pens, and then they move on to even bigger pens. So they socialize with other calves, they play. But in the first week, which is critical of when calves are going to get sick, a lot of times if they get pneumonia or they get scours or anything else, a lot of times it's in that first week. I can look at the calves, I can see exactly how much of a bottle they drank. I can look at their eyes, see if there's any discharge out of their nose. I can look at their bedding and see what their poop has looked like. It's just such a great way to watch them and make sure that they're healthy, they're eating adequately. I also know if they got enough colostrum, which is that first milk that their moms produce, which is even more important for cows because that's where they get their antibodies. So yeah, it's just a great way to monitor the calves, make sure they're healthy. And then also, a lot of our cows are very friendly. I can go up and pet our cows. It's really easy to work with them. And that starts with raising our calves. If they were just in there and I didn't touch them, I didn't feed them, I didn't become mom, essentially, these cows wouldn't be nearly as friendly. The calves would be feral, essentially, because they would just be running around, and yeah, we would walk through and check on them, but we wouldn't be touching them and feeding them, which most importantly makes them so tame. So we would have much more wild calves, and we also wouldn't be able to watch them to make sure that they're healthy. Some smaller dairy farms could probably totally get away with that because they have less cows and less calves. But with the amount of cows we have and the amount of calves we have, we would definitely have calves that would go unnoticed. We wouldn't treat them in time, and we would just have a higher mortality rate, and we'd have more sick calves. Good afternoon. I just got done feeding the babies for the second time today. They get fed in the morning and the afternoons, and I just thought maybe you'd like to meet some. I'm not going to introduce them all because there's too many, but I'll show you some of my favorites. So this is the big pen where my oldest girls are. That's Sage right there. Her mom is Paprika, my favorite cows. See, over here is Chevy, and we have Pretty Girl. And this is Horse. When she was born, she had a super long face like a horse, so I call her Horse Face. There's Bo. Her mom's name is Poe. She's one of my favorite cows as well. These are some twins, Beast 1 and Beast 2. The mom was a Jersey Holstein cross, and the dad was a Jersey. So this one looks like a Jersey Holstein cross. Another one just looks like a giant Jersey. They're huge. They're the youngest calves in this pen, and they're way bigger. Poor mama. Some big twins. Here's the next pen. Hi girls, eating their fresh alfalfa. Hi, this is Blitzen. She's one of my favorites. Her mom is Prancer, so I'm going with the reindeer theme there. Anyways, she's adorable. She's one of the calves that when she was born, she was so cute. I had to bring her inside. So I have some pictures of her hanging out inside with our son Georgie, which obviously he loved. And here is our youngest group. In here, none of them have name tags yet because I haven't done their name tags. So I should. Yeah, this one's Lemon. That one over there is Fireball. This one's name is Gigi. This one's Chex. Hi, Chex. Hi. Hi, sweetie. Hi. Hi, girls. And then the babies we have in pens are actually all bull calves. And I have someone coming to pick them up. I sold them all, and he just wanted some pasture pets. I guess I have a really big piece of property. And his wife loves jerseys, so yay boys. And this is another set of twins with one girl and one boy. And they're going to the same home as all the bull calves. And then as you can see, it's really, really gross out. So yeah, that's a quick introduction to the baby calves right now. And all the mamas. Okay, we're gonna do a little intro to our current milking parlor, and I will talk about what the milking parlor size used to be, and then I'll actually show you the old stanchions and how they originally milked in the original barn. So in here is our current milking parlor. And it is a 12 by 12 herringbone. We mostly have automatic takeoffs. Slowly had some break, and so right now we have some manual takeoffs where there's just a clamp that we clamp down. And eventually, like this. And eventually we'll get those fixed, but it's really expensive, so. Okay, so yeah, we have 12 cows come down each side. So on this side they come in, then you come through and you pre-dip them, you wipe them, and then you attach the claws, and then you move on and start prepping the next side. By the time you're done with this side's done, so then you do a final dip and let them out. And then do the same on that side as well. And you can see the seam right here when my dad bought the place. This is where the original parlor ended. And then my dad put in the rest of these to make it a 12 by 12. At the time he was milking over 200 cows, so it makes sense. Now we're only milking 120, so 12 by 12 is almost too big for one person, but it's not bad. Okay, so now we're in what we use as the holding pen. So all the cows come in here, and then as they go to the parlor, then they exit and go back down to their free stalls and food. But originally, I think this barn was built maybe in the 50s. Originally, this is actually where the cows were milked. And you can see these are the old stanchions. So their heads would go in here, and then you can also see the slab down here. This is where their back feet would go. And then if they pooped, then it would all go in this aisle that they could then squeegee. Also, the size of this just kind of shows how much smaller jerseys used to be, because jerseys have grown in size over the years. But nowadays, if a cow had its head in here, like our jerseys' back feet wouldn't be here, they'd be over here. So yeah, they would be here, and then someone would just come down the line and hand milk them all. And then probably once they got the portable milkers, they probably went along and did the portable milkers, and then they eventually moved on to having a milking parlor. And then this is our gate, our crowd pusher gate. So just when we get close to being done with milking, we have a couple cows left, then we close this so we can push the rest of the cows in and close it. And then that's how we get the remaining stragglers in. He actually still had like the old sprinklers, because at one point this also had sprinklers running along here, so that when the cows would come in, it would wash off their udders. It was kind of state of the art at one point. Some dairies still even use it, and that's why they had like the metal up here, and then there was metal on the sides as well. But then eventually they found that wet environment a lot of times, if not managed properly, led to more mastitis, so they took it out. And so now yeah, we don't pre-wash udders, we just pre-dip the teats, but we don't wash the whole udder.
Now, if an Oregon Coast field brownie, kind of looks like that. You can find them every once in a while. This one's weird though, because it's broke off, as you can see, and I haven't mowed or anything. And it looks like a this year horn. It's very bright. But yeah, just a little bonus. But you don't want this going through your mower either.